Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are CEA Summer League sieging it up, and we're all the way in the semifinals. This right here is a matchup between seed 6 and seed 7. Big plays up in here to make it all the way to the final four. It's Colorado Buffaloes versus Obtain the Grain. I'm C-Daps, joined by the wonderful, velvety, smooth, and sultry voice of the One True Spades.
How's it going, everybody? I hope that you have pre-lit those ovens because we're going to be watching a interesting game between CU Buffaloes and Obtain the Grain. Honestly, I can't wait for this one because I've got more than enough bread puns to go around. It's like I was born for this. My ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you're going to have just as much as we are, just as much fun as we are going to be casting for this one today, as we are getting ready to saddle up here on our first map of Clubhouse. We'll be playing it in Clubhouse, and this is going to be interesting. Do you know anything about CU Buffaloes and how their game style is going to possibly shape into this map?
Well, I know CU Buffalo is a very, very well-respected team in our collegiate scene. They're gunners. They're really well-structured. Sure, they may be missing a player or two here or there because, after all, it is Summer League, but they still do command respect, and to get this far it's an accomplishment in of itself. So I expect to see a little bit more structured, a little bit more strat-heavy, kind of traditional comp play. Then on Obtain the Grain, I have a little bit of insider information on them. It's half of my NCSU B team, plus some kids from Auburn. So they're kind of a little ragtag group of misfits trying to toy with the emotions of every other team out here. And hopefully they'll be able to put on quite the show. But with that, we're right on into Clubhouse. Bands are going off. We're seeing Monty. We're seeing Maverick. But the main thing I'm seeing is there's still a Thatcher on the board.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as we're waiting for the rootin' tootin' shootin' gluten to go pick up on that defensive operator here. I wonder what they're going to be picking for this one, because if you go and try to take, say, Bandit off the lineup, it's a decent pick in some cases, but he's only a substantial play, whereas taking Mira off the board definitely opens up a lot of attacking spots and definitely de-escalates the amount of defense that a lot of teams will have for, say, the basement and the armory and the bar and church area going through Moto. So this is going to be interesting because also Echo's been taken off the board, thank God. I don't know about you, but anybody who can sit anywhere in the map and somehow deny a plant, that's an operator that needs to be taken off the board unless you know how to deal with him properly.
Yeah, with the rise in prominence of IQ play by entry fraggers, especially because, the G8 is busted. Well, Echo isn't necessarily as strong as he used to be, but in this lineup, I don't see any IQ. And after that, having the Thatcher on the board is also could have denied any of the electronics. Most likely, we're going to see the combination of Brett Sheeran and Han Solo working hard to get that CCTV wall. Maybe Haram Bagel throwing his hat in the ring as well. You can open up some nice long angles and blast one of those asphyxiation bolts from Capital's back pocket and make sure there's no shenanigans on the wall with bandit tricking or anything similar.
Yeah, and you know what? Like you said with Haram Bagel, nothing like adding a little bit of condensed gluten into the mix always knocks out that gluten shock factor. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he goes 12 grain or he goes all in with the white buttery bread. But now we're seeing here as Alexis K & Co. decides to get themselves up into that cash room. She's decided to go downstairs into the garage and armor up some of those walls to possibly stop attackers from coming in underneath anybody that's deciding to play on the catwalk. Considering she's playing Doc, I'm guaranteeing that she's going to be the one and only individual that decides to try and hold off garage. And they're also putting down some of those defensive wire encasements just to make sure that no one comes through without making any audio cues for the most part. But we're going to have to see how OTG decides to take on this rather seasoned and obviously veteran team that knows what they're doing. They've played together all through the seasons. They have tons of time together. I'll have to see whether or not their ragtag posse can come in and take down the bad guys.
Yeah, I guess this is a little bit of a lull in action. We can go and read off the names of each of the members. On Colorado Buffalo, their team is comprised of Olvin, Alexis K, Heckle, Rune, and Arctic, as well as on the Obtain the Grain side, it's Brett Sheeran, Vladimir Gluten, Han Solo, Haram Bagel, and Clint Yeastwood. And just like that, Han Solo will take out Arctic at the hands of the exothermic charge. Who isn't there to love the support players who can get a frag with their utility? Rare, very, very rare interaction to see the thermite charge actually blowing up and killing somebody. But if you stand too close, you're going to get baked in the oven bread style.
Yeah, talk about watching that yeast rise the bread to completion as that thermobaric charge knocks him into the next dimension. Arctic was walking around with ice in his veins, but the bread turned on that oven, and that was just the end of the game. He melted like a pancake in that one. Now we're watching the rest of Olvin taking down Vladimir Gluten, making sure the communist breadwinner has nothing left to do, and Han Solo answering in kind as Olvin also goes down. My goodness gracious, does no one know how to chew the bread? They all seem to be choking on this defense. Hopefully things start turning around as it is now down to a 3v4.
A little bit of a lull in action is going to come in, but the main advantage definitively going into the side of Obtain the Grain, but they have to get Alexis K out of this power position inside the garage rafters. Clint Eastwood was going to be able to get a nice shot right onto Heckle, but quickly refragged out by Rune in the SMG-11. Brett Sheeran is able to net another kill onto Alexis K, leaving it all up to Rune on the top of Red, trying to stop this breach entry, but the damage might have already been done.
Yeah, and as we're watching the 12 grain plays coming in here, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys are ready for this one, because that's a buckshot, and he takes him down as he brings Rune and Mayhem onto the one side of Brett Sheeran, ruining his career, but Han Solo saw it coming in and decided to channel some of that forced breadwinning ability, walked through that window, and ended the round, winning one for OTG.
Especially on a map such as Clubhouse, starting off on the defensive is huge. It's a really big advantage that Colorado probably want to take advantage of. And with Obtain the Grain, getting that bread in the first round, starting off 1-0, might not necessarily be the ideal start for Buffalo, as they need to wake up a little bit. And they're switching it up all the way downstairs to the basement. But yes, they just showed me a little bit of love with the Finca pick, and Six picked her away. A little bit of the caster's curse. I was going to talk about how much I love Finca as an operator, but now she is gone.
It's okay. I think it would have been a bad idea for this side anyways, coming in through it. I mean, unless you properly comprise your team to work around that boost together as a unison and a push, it can really throw you off, especially because all you're hearing in your ears is the heart beating and there's no footsteps, no nothing. You really got to focus in order to hear anything else other than that. This might actually work out in their, more or less in their advantageous spot here as we're watching Arctic, making sure he gets those nice little neat hatches up top, getting them all covered up, using that cade probably to electroshock them from being taken off and out of the way, just delaying the attackers as much as possible. We do have the rest of the team, Rune, Heckle, Alexis K, and Olvin playing Legion, the Meatball Man himself, Maestro. We've got ourselves the Ultimate Jaeger, and of course, Rune coming in and muting the subject as we have now started our round at, as OTG is looking to follow up that last round win, but CU Buffalo with a massive switch up on the roster for the different operators that they've decided to pick, trying to shake things up and cause a little bit of confusion, more or less, as we do see OTG trying to take commanding spots up top and maybe flush out the roamers that are upstairs. Possibly the first people to walk into any sort of fight is Heckle, who is currently playing up top. He's going to have himself a little bit of a problem as the bag winners here seem to be coming in through that back doorway as he has rotated out, and he might get caught out here in the open as we do have an opening. They both looking at each other. It's a Mexican standoff, but holy crap, as Clint Eastwood said, do you feel lucky, punk and Dome's Heckle? Almost like a 90s movie or something like that. I feel like that might be a reference.
Yeah, just a little bit. He was faster on the trigger in that good old-fashioned duel. Starting off with the opening pick on the side of Obtain the Grain. Your Jaeger's gone. Utility still lays on the board, probably down towards blue with those ADSs protecting any player. But look right here. Olvin's on the flank. The Legion has something chefing up in the backside, coming up toward the top of Raptors, trying to flank over towards the rest of these Obtain the Grain attackers that are locked up inside of the main bar area. They're working to get Moto opened. They're working to try to get down inside the site and start putting pressure towards the rest of the 3 anchors laying down below. Yes, the hatches will open. Synergy with the hard breach squad and those EMP grenades. But Rune's going to be taking out that aforementioned hard breach. No more Habana. Going to be a little bit more dangerous to try to place down an exothermic charge as opposed to just slapping a few X-Kairos from distance. Ulven is now peeking over here, and he seems to find the feet of the Nomad. Finishes off Haram Bagel. That flank watch wasn't quite doing his job well enough.
Yeah, just as we just saw there, he double toasted Haram Bagel, and that ended up taking him out of the race. Hopefully he got those Nomads off. I don't think I saw him get those air jabs out. Maybe you saw them, C-Devs, but as we go back into the fight here, we're watching Bread Sheeran releasing his new single, I'm Running Back Up the Stairs to Find You. And now we've got OTG starting to move their way through Moto. We've got ourselves Bread Sheeran watching that backside, taking down Ulven, but Ruin in despair walks in for the Vladimir Gluten, as he's also getting ready to take on the other side. Han Soloff fighting it off in the outside hallway there. Arctic getting dropped, but Alexis K comes in and says no. Kylo Renyo. Alexis K ending Bread Sheeran's life with a quick wink from a mile away. Ouch. Talk about dicing up the meatballs and serving them at the same time.
Yeah, Alexis K is a gunner. I've seen her do absolutely amazing things in the few times I've gotten to cast her, and not giving up any surprises on the Maestro play downstairs. Picked up a couple of frags, but now will be returning to the dock on Rafters, most likely back on CCTV. This is the site that at first Colorado Buffalo was defeated on at the hands of a very strong attack coming out of Obtain the Grain. Sure, your bandit died to the thermite charge, gave his life for that cause, and the breach still got opened. So a little bit unfortunate to get the ball rolling towards the Bread Boys in that initial way. But if Colorado Buffalo is able to tweak a couple of things around, I could see the round swinging in their favor.
Yeah, you know what? I think, especially the initial push of that round, I think it was more the shock value, the gluten shock value, if you will, with them taking down the bandit so quickly and that wall. I just don't think they were prepared for that speed. You know, I think that just caught them off guard, as we just witnessed downstairs. Even under pressure, many and actually almost all of the CU players so far have stayed cool and calm under pressure. They haven't let any sort of mistakes be the reason why they die. It's more often just they get outplayed. It's not necessarily a bad or terrible move that they have made. They put themselves in advantageous spots, and they're now trying to get the leg up on, as we see Ulven trying to go for the spawn peek, cheeky spawn peek, turn around the corner, but he's incinerated. Ladies and gentlemen, no cupcake mix can hold him back as Bread Sheeran finds the holes and drops them wholesale. And Han Soloff also picking one up on Heckle. That Brome Dome all the way on the other side. This is going to be getting interesting, as now we've got 2 defenders down. It is down to Alexis K, Ruin, and Arctic to hold this 5-man gluten bread stack back, as Rune decides to say, this is the hill I will die on, and Haram Bagel hits the floor dying.
Without the Capito, it's going to be a lot harder to deny this bandit trick, just as we see Arctic zapping away the bready goodness of Han Solo's explosive. He said, fool me once, shame on you. You aren't gonna fool me ever again. I'm not dying to another thermite charge. But Han Solo is going once again, and Arctic has the wrong sound cues, is not going to be able to stop the wall. And now that is effectively cutting the site in half. It isolates out Alexis K on the top of Raptors. She now no longer has a clear rotation, and as soon as Obtain the Green starts trying to put pressure towards the bottom of Graz, maybe even walking in the breach that they can do on either the soft wall or the reinforced one, because Habana's still on the board, she's going to start feeling the pressure.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, as Alexis K holding that top walkway area is going to be almost a key lynch point to their defense at this point, especially because OTG is now opening up a lot more holes and finding different ways to go in, but they do have Ruin holding the main bedroom area with that shotgun, keeping those close angles the best way that you could possibly use that shotgun. And it's going to be, again, very interesting to see how this is going to go, as it seems like Clint Eastwood has decided that he's going to open up the hole a little bit larger for himself to possibly eat himself through there. We're just going to have to see what happens here. So we do have a little bit of a lull in fighting. Clint Eastwood finds Alexis K. And that's the linchpin as Clintwood walks in, and Alexis K says, nah, I'm not going to have any of that. And then ends up getting taken down while trying to reposition as Brad Sheeran comes in and finds Rune. It is all up to Arctic now. Arctic is the man with the plan, and hopefully at the end, never mind. I guess we forgot plan in there because he just did not rise to the occasion on that one, unfortunately.
See, I was going to take a page out of your book and say he was the man with the plan, but Brad Sheeran emptied out the brain pan.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that
one. Beautiful headshot coming out of the player. From construction, pushing onto that green box angle isn't necessarily the easiest gunfight, especially when it's an MP7 on the other side. That gun rips through players, but he won it anyways. L85 ACOG, heck of a weapon. Induced to full effectiveness out of both of the British SAS operators, Sledge and Thatcher. As we're actually going to see a little bit of a change of scenery. We're going to be going towards gym bedroom. Colorado Buffaloes have abandoned their efforts towards CCTV and cash room, haven't quite been able to get it to work out. Seems as if Obtain the Grain is just too comfortable attacking that site. They read into the calculated aggression, or maybe miscalculated aggression of the double run out towards stock. But maybe not the best idea. Could have netted a kill or two if they were caught off guard. But Obtain the Grain is ranked players. They're playing ranked style. They know they've got to watch out for those crazy crackhead spawn peaks, and they punish Colorado Buffalo accordingly.
Yeah, I guess you could say they tried going against the grain and it just didn't work out for them in that last round. However, there is still hope. Yes, they lost 2 in the cash room, but they can also create the upset. We did see how calm, cool, and collected CU was able to hold that basement area with the armory and the church area. We just need to see them replicate that again on a different site to give themselves a little bit of a help here, because they are the more rounds that they end up losing on this defensive side, the more it's going to dig them into a hole, and the more they're going to have to push in order to pull themselves out. But it's not over yet. We have lots of Rainbow Six left to play here as this round is now started, and we see Arctic throwing down some of those audio proximity devices to try and give off those audio cues as anyone decides to get in those areas. We're going to be going up top and down low as we see Obtain the Grain kind of taking this a little bit more slow than last time. Especially that first round, they decided that they were going to go all out when they pushed in and absolutely cut Olvin off guard and took him out. And then even on the second round when they played up in cash, his audio cues were mixed up as we see Alexis K already taken down Vladimir Gluten. So far, she's been quite a strong player with trying to get a couple extra frags for her teammates. They're just going to have to look and see who's going to be picking up the slack on CU to get themselves to where they need to be here to continuously be effective on this defense.
Yeah, the first exothermic charge got yoinked up by Olvin. Beautiful bandit tricking on display towards the gym wall. It's a little bit easier to breach or to bandit trick on that side as opposed to CCTV because, oh my gosh, you can just get ripped apart from down below. But Clint Eastwood and Brett Sheeran are both going to be able to pick up kills. As the Thatcher says, I don't need to help towards the wall. I'll just run on in and fry the bandit off. But Alexis K is going to answer back with her second kill of the game, evening up the man count as Brett Sheeran is in sight, takes out the Wamai. It's all up to Heckle and Arctic, and they're locked off site. Actually, Heckle has made his way towards the backside 90, trying to find some toes underneath the castle barricade as the execute goes down. Han Solo is going to be planting and typing away, but there's a little bit of a potato battle. Potato bread indeed as Sheeran falls. Heckle picks up that kill, and it's a 2v1. That's a 2v... It's a 2v none. Heckle with the triple kill. Explosive out of nowhere. Gets the clutch. Gets the defuse. And takes the round for Colorado Buffalo.
Talk about heckling on the baker who drops the dough on this one as OTG having a commanding position inside for the defuse, pushing on and using audio cues to basically more or less distract the defending side team. Olvin was taken out with a lethal proficiency, but then it turns around and Heckle goes beast mode and says, I'm not gluten-free. I've taken my pills. And he eats them all, taking down that 3K. Now this is a game. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to come down to the bare bones final stand. I can't wait to see what happens as the bodies continue to hit the floor.
Going back down to basement Arsenal, this could be where finally we see Colorado try to string multiple rounds together, which you really want to do on your clubhouse defenses. If you want to have a successful, you typically want that 4-2 split. At this point, they'll have to win downstairs, then they'll have to accomplish what they haven't been able to do so, which is win CCTV. That's where both of the rounds for Obtain the Grain have come from. Both of those two wonderful, that number on the orange side, on the attacking side, I guess in that way, I'm fumbling over words. But last time around, Colorado Buffalo was able to be just really strong in their anchor play towards the downstairs. Once it took a little bit too long on the roam clear, I believe it was Heckle and Olvin were just kind of running around, getting these flanks on, killing times and killing a couple of players on the Obtain the Grain side. It slowed them down just enough, so eventually the bread bank, the bread boys, had to just throw themselves into sight and crumbled into crumbs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. As will they become like full on the bread side of things, or will they be flat like non-bread and have none of that? As you know, everyone knows that those bread puns are absolutely going to continue rolling. As me and C-Dabs continuously look up on Google the different bread puns that we can use. Just kidding. All right, now we've got ourselves into the start of this round. Things are on a constant pace here as we see OTG and CU both not shying away from confrontation on either side. Both of them are itching to get at each other's. We're already starting to see some of the OTG guys get into sight. It looks like we do have a few stragglers. Clint Eastwood watching that back stairwell. He's going to walk in as Heckle turns the corner and ends him with the 44 Magnum. Just kidding. That's a 4.16 carbine as Heckle now comes back into sight, probably laughing about that kill. As we see in the chat, Clint Eastwood absolutely amazed by that shot as both of them, but that's this, I think the second time they've also had that happen is the last time Clint Eastwood was the one to take down Heckle, as it looks like Arctic decided that. Yeah, I was going to say, he's trying to nitro through it, and that's a solid floor. So now we've got a loss out on a nitro cell, and it looks like we're going to get ourselves the bar hatch will be open here, as Arctic is going to be sitting in the corner. Looks like confrontation might happen right away as both of them see each other, but Han Solov takes down Arctic, who's sitting on top of that box, just looking a little bit too far to the left to see him automatically through that hollow sight. And that goes down in history as Arctic is the first one to die on the defending side team. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not over yet. We've got a 4v4 here, and it's still continuing on.
Yeah, Heckle is trying to get a flank on, sees a cam and tucks tail and runs down the back blue secret stairs. He's going to be rejoining the rest of the players on site, his men in arms, his comrades, trying to hold off the unrelentless rush of Obtain the Grain. They already have Moto Hatch open, but they're making their ways down the main stairs, probably going to go for some sort of pinch, and one of those pinch maneuvers where you push from multiple sides. Trying to get main stairs control will cut the A and B sites away as Han Solo is rotating over towards the side of the church wall. Will most likely try to open that up with quick succession. Yes, that exothermic charge will go through, but Heckle's going to run straight through the smoke, and there's so many players on him, but he gets seen out by the acute eyes of Brett Sheeran, dropping another top 100 hit. Alexis K is going to answer back by taking out Han Solo, put some more shots over towards the players inside of Moto, but Harambe is going to answer straight back by taking out Room. Alexis K is in a very precarious situation. It's now the Twitch will fall at the hands of Olvin, but now the diffuser can go down because the site is clear. It is a 2v1 situation, Vlad and Haram, but they are both really spread apart. It's a series of 1v1s, and that's what you want to do in the clutch. You want to isolate out and take your engagements in solidarity. It's all up to Haram Bagel versus Olvin, but Haram does have the health advantage. But as Olvin's just creeping, he's tweaking his way on into sight. Who knows if the Gorilla Man Haram Bagel is going to read into the position of the bandit so far. He's just playing passive over towards the bottom of main stairs as Olvin swings into Moto. Just another standoff here as the time continues to dwindle away. Olvin is now using the breach and attempting to stick this diffuser. He has about 3 seconds in the back pocket here as Haram Bagel is going to fake out the sprint, and it's going to be a too little, too late as Olvin gets the frag but doesn't get the defuse. Another round for Obtain the Grain.
You know, I have to give him full credit. He went in on a Willman of prayer to try and bait out the attacker on that one, but our OTG counterpart on the other side on that 1v1 played it smart, waited to the last possible second, pulled his attention away from the diffuser, and ultimately gives the attacking team the win. This is putting CU in a very precarious spot. They can go back downstairs, which looks like they're going to be picking that. But this is going to put them, like I said, in a very bad spot because it's going to more than likely be a 3-3 split instead of a 4-2.
Unless we see more success come out of Obtain the Grain, if they're able to get this reverse 4-2 split, they will be sitting pretty. They're in the driver's seat of their car, just cruising like a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon drive. As if you get 4 rounds on attack, you've pretty much locked it in. All you got to do is win a couple of rounds on basement or CCTV, one of those primary sites. You don't even have to worry about your tertiary, as you know, you've just really got the grain in the bag.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think there's been a key couple of ingredients, if you will, with the defense. So far, they've had to rely on Heckle's 3K, adding sprinkles into an already weird concoction of bread coming at them at high velocity. And then on top of that, Alexis K also really having to be the linchpin as well with those frags to try and both of their best to just whittle down the attackers, usually after several individuals either put themselves in just a bad spot or just a happen chance of the RNG roll that ends up putting down 1 or 2 of them. I feel like they may need to play a little bit more conservative. I know that double run out really didn't help them. That beginnings of last round, they did really well. Hecka was able to rejoin the team downstairs. It was getting later in the round. It was 4v4. They did not give up any. They did not give up any of their operators willingly without a good trade or something along those lines. I think it's just been more or less RNG rolls in some cases. And other ones, OTG has also played a very smart game. They played fast and got the element of surprise in that first round, taking down Olvin, I think it was, who was the bandit on that wall. And he ended up dying off the bat like that. I think it was Olvin. I'm not 100% sure, but he has been playing more or less the bandit main as it had been so far. But as we see our first couple pieces of contact here, as we do see Clint Eastwood on that top part, looking over the blue hatch. And this is going to be interesting whether or not the defenders decide to rotate or just let that hatch be. As we do see Olvin playing downstairs as Legion in that blue room next to the AC unit. We also have Arctic, Alexis, and I think it's Ruin, who's also in the Moto area. No, it's Heckle. Heckle has been moving around from Moto to A. We're have to see how this works. As it's just been more or less a turtle-type defense. They do have that blue hatch open. We're just going to see what happens here. Is Haram Bagel is now moving through, clearing that upper area. They're starting to see whether or not they do have any roamers in the backside. And they're starting to feel a little bit more secure as they don't seem to be really watching their backside too much. But again, it's not going to really cause them any problems as they do have the flank secured, at least for the rotate out, as now we're starting to see a little bit of contact as Vladimir Gluten is trading some shots. However, no damage has been issued.
Yeah, Vlad on the Capital is looking to get his first frag to eliminate that donut he currently has on the score line here, as Rambagel is also going to drop straight into Moto, putting up the aggression a little bit earlier than they've done before. Rambagel is going to get a nice kill onto Alexis K. That's no more Maestro, no more traditional plant denial, as well as a big fragger. Vlad will pick up his first kill straight onto the head of Heckle. Those are your 2 biggest gunners besides Rune left alive on the Colorado Buffalo side. Rune is holding this nice angle with a red dot, a little bit of an interesting choice here, but that AUG can rip straight through people, and rip it does. Actually, never mind. That's Arctic picking up Han Solo. No more breaching going on as the Kool-Aid wall is opened and offering a nice line of sight towards the back of Moto Hall. The action is picking right up as Brett is able to get a nice kill onto Rune, leaving it all up to Olvin and Arctic in a 4v2. The diffuser is attempting to be going down towards the back of the site, but Vlad's going to get another kill onto Olvin, all up to Arctic. Can the Doc do it? Could heal himself up. He's at about 75 HP against this onslaught of attackers holding all of these angles. And right there, Docs can't quite heal up enough. Vladimir Gluten takes him down with a headshot and Obtain the Grain, take the half at the score of 4-2.
That was almost clinical. Obtain the Grain really getting in there and making a masterpiece of their attack. A few points there. It looked like CU might be able to take the advantage, but it almost looked like while they were shooting, their bullets really weren't doing a whole lot of damage. They had some flank spots, and they definitely had some crossfire going on, but Obtain the Grain. They did exactly that. They obtained the grain. They got the bread. And now the entire defending team is dead. God, I just rhymed. C-Dabs, wash my mouth. That was so pleased. It's still. Anyways, that was. I just sitting back and watching that. It was like I said. It almost seemed like they had a plan, and it went off without a hitch. By CU turtling the way they did, it was almost to their own demise at that point. They had no real control or contest for any of the hatches, and they were just able to drop down Moto, take the main stairs, get that church wall, and more or less pick them apart as they decided to try and peek and get some kills. And I mean, Alexis K, she got a kill, but then was also in-kind traded off. Heckel was killed really early on, right after Alexis K taking down two of the individuals who, more or less, for the two wins that they do have in the rounds, were the two massive contributors for both of those wins. We have seen Rune with his cheeky Nidos take out a few individuals, but it has really been up to Alexis K and Heckel to really try and pull up their socks here. Hopefully, on the attacking side, they can find some success with a few of their own strats for this one, but it is not going to be easy, and I don't think Obtain the Grain is going to try and make it easy for them, as we see them clinically putting down their defensive gadgets to make things just that little bit harder on them. And they do have a bandit. It's Bread Sheeran holding the wall. Will he get it? Oh, he does, and that's going to hurt them, as he's lost another one of his bandit charges, but it doesn't look like he's going to get it down in time. Oh, the audio cue got switched.
He got him.
That's both of them done. Oh, that's got to hurt. That's going to take out a huge chunk of the strategy of opening up some extra laneways and walls to shoot into that site.
Yeah, and especially because exothermic charges of Thermite go off so much faster, and now Alexis K has already used one of her sets of X-Kairos pellets towards the top of Garage. It's going to be all that much more difficult to pull off that breach, because if he could time an exothermic charge, he can definitely take out an X-Kairos pellet set or two, depending on if you put them together. And most likely that CCTV wall will be remaining. Closes Vladimir Gluten. The Wamai on the rafters takes out Rune. Also going to throw a nice frisbee over to help out his friends in CCTV. Drones are coming in, and it seems as if Colorado Buffalo is starting to flounder a bit.
Yeah, it's I'm a little surprised. I still believe that they have the ability to pull some things off here, but they're now down one guy. They've lost their Thatcher. They've lost both of the exothermic charges on their Thermite, and the wall is still up. They're almost running a clinic, like I said before. And Obtain the Grain is really turning things around. This is almost baking in the factory setting. They're just churning it out as Bread Sheeran takes down Arctic with that MP9 coming around the corner, just absolutely unloading. Sorry, MP7. And now it's up to Olvin, Alexis K, and Heckel. We have seen these guys go absolutely haymaker on the Bread Gang, but it's going to be interesting to see as we see Maestro unloading the lead into the bread pan, and hopefully the bacon can come in there as well, but it doesn't seem like he's going to get the kill off. However, Olvin and Alexis K both heavily hurt on this one. Heckel's the only one left at full health, as Bread Sheeran has been somewhat hurt, and there goes one down as Bread Sheeran finds Olvin. This is going to be interesting if they keep single peeking this. They're just going to keep getting taken down as Hans Stoloff takes another one down, but Heckel pushing up that red stairwell takes down one, and then Clint Eastwood found out he just wasn't lucky enough, I guess, and that's the end of that round as CU's attack seconds tick down, and it just seemed to fall apart for them. That's upsetting.
When you can't get the wall of CCTV opened, it makes it an incredibly hard site to hold on to or to actually attack. You're funneled in through either Garage, which most of the time you have a Wamai up there, or a Dock, something like that with a heck of a lot of utility backing him up, or you have to push towards construction, maybe even the CCTV window, but There's so many crossfire angles that you expose yourself to if you vault through that, as well as trying to push up the absolute gauntlet of barbed wire proximity alarms or whatever the heck else any defenders put towards red stairs. Getting into that site is a little bit easier said than done. That's why it's so paramount for most teams. The first thing you do is open up the wall. But the absolute skill on display from Brett Sheeran on the bandit tricking made that impossible. And then as soon as the Thatcher over-peaked the Wamai at the top, I believe it was Vladimir Gluten, it kind of, you can't get the wall open. You can't breach anything. There's electricity. That's entire job on that metal reinforcement is to make sure you can't place those fancy gadgets towards those areas.
Yeah, it's nothing like getting put in through a kill box and a bottleneck once you can't open that wall. However, when that wall is open, it almost seems like teams have a much easier time being able to more or less pick apart the defenders. But like you said, if that wall doesn't get pulled open, it's the chances of you pulling off the victory are incrementally just abysmally low at that point. As we saw, as CU tried their best to rally the attack, but unfortunately OTG, well, I guess not unfortunately for them in this case, but OTG really stepping up to the plate, denying that wall, as Brett Sheeran was doing so incredibly well on. And they were just able to kill us. We're walking into the next round here, and we're seeing that they're using, oh god, Impact Nade trick and took down those X-Kairos pellets. She's only got 2 left. And there goes a second one. They wasted an extra Impact Grenade, but now that's 2 of them gone, as Alexis K is kind of baffled, I'm guessing. I know I would be, trying to figure out how they're going to fight this. It looks like they're trying to peek out, and I think that was a little bit of friendly fire as Arctic got shot in the back as Alexis K tried shooting through those steel beams. Unfortunately, you can't shoot through them, but you can shoot through your teammates, as we are now seeing a thermal barrack charge being used to take down that, and it looks like they're going to get them as there's no more impact grenades to go around, and it looks like OTG is now starting to fall back into their mid-game positions to hold, as we do see Arctic moving up on that dirt side. We do have a fair amount of CU still outside and not really in position to take site, but Arctic pushing in with Heckle. Heckle also pushing in. Oh my goodness gracious, as things are starting to push forward, as Heckle pushing down as an Ash, using that 416 in that rapid fire rate of fire to try and do some damage. As we do see Alexis K did see someone's head popping around, as he does see the sides of his feet, and Alexis K gets the kill on Clint Eastwood, and he's down for the count. It looks like Hugh's breathing a little bit of life into their attack here, as this is a 5v3 and they're doing damage. They've taken that main hallway. They do have dirt, as Arctic is now droning out for his teammates, and we have Olven also in the back of sight. Haram Bagel is really trying to fight, but he's got himself condensed into a corner. Unlike the bready goodness of a Bagel, Haram Bagel has now taken down Arctic, and one of his teammates unfortunately is out, as Heckle finds Haram Bagel, and it looks like CU brings it back, as that's a 3K for 3 of their teammates, putting it together right at the end of the round. Well done.
I thought at first Colorado Buffalo was expending too much utility onto that kitchen hatch, as we just saw a lot of impact tricking coming out, those nice cheeky angles you can lob those pokeballs of explosive goodness up into to take out X-Gyro pellets. So ultimately, it wasted away 2 X-Gyro pellets. They still had 1 more in the back pocket of the Maestro, but feeling the pressure from the vertical holes employed by Heckle, as well as I think they had a sledge around just breaking that floor, Home Depot style, nice renovations going on, opening up angles and making it so players such as Brett Sheeran down below, that was the Legion, couldn't quite find a safe spot to sit, ended up breaking down and dying. And that right there was the exact opening that Colorado Buffalo needed. They flooded into sight. They started taking their gunfights and their engagements. They had confidence, they had poise, and they took that round in a textbook fashion.
Yeah, it looked like they were really starting to get frustrated, especially with the impact tricking. I saw Alexis K almost for a second just stare at the wall, and I'm pretty sure she was just trying to figure out how the hell that they were going to work as a team to get this done, because at one point in time, I think actually 2 of the OTG players both threw an impact at the same time, and they ended up losing a piece of utility that probably could have worked in their favor, but again, like you said, that sledge walking in like the Kool-Aid man saying, "Oh yeah," and the rest of OTG saying, "Oh no," they walked away from those holes, which was probably better for their health, but at the end of the round, it didn't matter, as CU got some life back into their attack, and they were ultimately able to commandingly, at the end of that round, take the win. Now it is 5v3, or sorry, 5-3, in the favor of OTG. Obtain the Grain is up by 2, and they did a miraculous job on their first round attacks, doing some serious work. And CU just did not seem to have the answers, but now CU has positioned themselves, if they can continue to get some wins racked into each other, to really come back from this one, which would be a rather monumental change of pace for this game. But as we see here, as Red Sheeran's getting ready to take down those X-Kairos pellets with that impact grenade, as they did already, Ulven is now there with a thermobaric charge. He's going to try and take it out, and they're going to see whether or not they can nade trick it again, and they will. They're going to probably just continuously trade this off, trying to get rid of as much. Yep, there's a third piece of utility gone, and it's just not going to play the same way, as Alexis K is now opting to possibly go in through the main hallway into the main stairwell, try and take it out that way. And it looks like that one went up, did it?
Yeah, that one right there, that was a breaching charge. So it gave the audio cue that the thermite was placing the charge, so they wasted the impact nade on it, allowed Alexis K to come back with her X-Kairos and still keep another piece of utility into the back pocket of the attackers. Now with these angles opened up, there's a little tap right onto the feet of the Castle. Haram Bagel's getting his ankles cut off. We'll see if that's his Achilles heel in the end, but probably not, as he still got 75 here. But the vertical angles are going to bite him in the butt once again. A Bagel with everything on it, a couple of poppy seeds crying out everywhere, as Alexis K is doing a heck of a lot of damage from this kitchen hatch.
We're definitely seeing a change of pace here, as it looks like CU is starting to find their footing. There hasn't been any kills yet, but they're definitely starting to command us. We're going to see a little bit of an attack here as Rune catches Haram Bagel off a little bit of a helter-skelter there, as Red Sheeran also denies Alexis K the entry into that hatch as she drops down. But oh my goodness gracious, the ice in the veins, Arctic comes back and takes down the Red Sheeran for the trade, and we're down to a 3v4. Ulven in sight, also getting the plant down. Things are starting to turn around for CU, as it looks like now, yeah, it's still 3v4 now, as we got ourselves a little bit of a retake that needs to happen. But at the same time, Vladimir Gluten is stuck in the blue room. He does have the ability to rotate back in through, but we're going to have to see what happens, as Han Solov is now starting to rotate back through some of the castle barricades to try and help his teammate. He's opening up some holes to possibly push some of the teammates out from CU from the back end of that diffusing area, as now we're going to have to walk in, and he's going to have to take that air jab, and he does. He goes down, but now he's down and out, as Arctic also finds the gluten rootin' tootin' shooting, as Arctic now finishes off, and Han Solov comes in the corner and Heckle finishes him off. That is a fantastic round by CU, and they're now starting to put themselves back up to obtain a tie and get themselves into a position to possibly take the win, although that is still a rather long battle in front of us.
So this is Obtain the Grain's map choice. So naturally, I would expect to have them be in the upper hand situation, just like the attacking side we saw. They won 4-2. So really great attacking side, but mirroring the lack of success that Colorado Buffalo had on the defense towards CCTV seems to be the same story downstairs for Obtain the Grain. They can't quite string it together, hold on till the very end, and ultimately they just get overwhelmed with Colorado's presence. Once they get that hatch open, they just flood onto site, and there's not much that you can do to stop it. So we'll see how CCTV works out, because you most likely can't rely on Red Sheeran to successfully bandit trick it once again, as we see Alexis K swap onto the Capitao, probably going to be trying to burn that Red Sheeran alive right below with an asphyxiation bolt.
Yeah, talk about leaving the bread in the pan for too long. He's going to try and get a little bit of a singe going on. We're going to have to see how they play this one. Cash was very strong for them. If they're able to turn this around, they get the tie 5-5, and it's still within their ability to take the win. However, we've also seen Obtain the Grain do some miraculous things. They were the ones that set the tempo and the very first attack on this map, and continued to do so throughout their attack. And now, again, like you said, they're starting to mirror the defense of CU, and they're starting to have some problems. We're going to have to see whether or not their mental fortitude comes into play here and whether or not they're able to rally themselves to stop CU from taking this win. As we do see Brad Sheeran, he's the guy with the man with the plan so far. He's the one with the bandit battery stopping everything from coming through. But we do have Alexis K starting to put some pressure on through that cash window as Olvin and Brett are starting to fight on who's going to be putting down what first, as he already loses one thermobaric charge. Brad Sheeran still's got a lot of batteries on him as Olvin is starting to try and beat them out. But it's I don't know what's going to happen here. Is Brad Sheeran seems to be the guy that's just holding back the entire attack here. Is going to have to be the Arctic team to go into the bottom and possibly open up some holes.
There are no more EMPs. This rune was a little bit too quick on the trigger out here, but Arctic has a plan in the backside. Going to be blasting away with the lifeline, but unfortunately missing the lineup as they just can't seem to get this wall open. Right there, Olvin looks in dismay as his final thermite charge goes bye-bye. Brad Sheeran feeling himself doing a little dance here, but Arctic's going to open up the fragging at the Wamai at the bottom of garage. No more Vladimir Gluten as Brad's going to swing out and delete Alexis K.
My goodness gracious, this has been an absolute rise to the occasion as we've seen Brad Sheeran add a little extra yeast to the bundle and making sure he comes out fluffy and big at all shapes and sizes here. So we do see Heckle starting to throw some of those stun grenades in through the construction doorway to possibly pull a little bit of attention his way. We do have a four-man team still defending this side as it looks like he's going to be walking right into Clint Yeastwood, and he's got that, oh my goodness, the SMG-11 doing its work at short range as Clint Yeastwood takes down Arctic. It does look like Heckle was trying to get the trade-off, but Yeastwood did not stick his head out far enough to be found by Heckles. Heckles decided to push right in, but Hans Soloff opens up with the machine gun, and we know that box mag can go for days as Heckle's still doing a lot of work, taking down Clint Yeastwood, but Haram Bagel answers in kind, condensing down the defense and the attack to a 3v1. It's Ruin versus Brad Sheeran, Hans Soloff, and Haram Bagel. As Ruin is at the top of the red stairwell, things have started to come down to a little bit of a lull, as it looks like Rune's just trying to collect himself to get himself ready for this push. We do have two in between on site and one sitting out in the catwalk as Haram Bagel just killed Rune. Rune didn't even react to him sitting on top of that desk. I don't know if he just didn't see him or what, but there was no reaction whatsoever. It looked like he saw him for at least a second and a half or so.
What happened in that situation highlights the power of taking off angles. So right there, the Thatcher crouch walked in and was looking at the top of the shield, but no, he didn't see the head of a player sitting behind that iron slab. It was the foot of the Jaeger who climbed on top of a desk and put himself in a position that no sane man would expect or pre-fire.
That's very true. I guess if you're not expecting it, you may or may not even see it to begin with. Because yeah, that was rather interesting. I thought he was going to come around the corner and spray him down, but it didn't even look like you said. He didn't even have a reaction to it.
But what's going to be the reactionary choice of the lack of success on the downstairs front will be going upstairs to gym bedroom. The traditional tertiary bomb site of this map will be our next point of contention between Obtain the Grain and Colorado Buffalo. And we might need to add in, this is match point. Obtain the Grain could ice it out, take their map choice if they're successful on this defense, or else they will have to choose between coming back up here or going downstairs, as CCTV will be closed.
And it seems like this is going to be well, like you said, they're going to have to choose between one of the two other places, that either one that they've gone really strong with and the other one they've actually been a little bit more weaker on, especially if they decide to go downstairs. That would be an interesting pick, just because it hasn't worked for them. It would be like CU picking Cash Room, which they've been pulled apart in so many different ways when they've been defending it so far. But as we now see the beginning of the round here, we're starting to get contact already, as we do have Alexis K shooting holes through that construction side wall that has not been armored up. That was a really quick push and a really quick hold trying to stop them from armoring that up. We do have, however, Olvin and Co. trying to get into that wall on the side for Brett Sheeran. It looks like Brett Sheeran gets it just in the nick of time. And he's going to present one hell of an obstacle for the Breach team of Ulven Arun. As so far, he has paid off in spades with his plays, and it has kept that hole completely open. Or sorry, completely closed. But Brett Sheeran has now decided to opt to fall back into the bathroom. He armored himself up, and Arctic, seeing the feet underneath, takes down Brett Sheeran, and he takes the ginger out of the whole equation. There's no ginger for the bread this time, as we now just have our plain dough ready to go.
I didn't even think about calling Bread Sheeran the gingerbread man, because that was actually a really good pun, but Heckle's making his way up main stairs, right into the loving arms of Clint Yeastwood. No Western-style showdown this time. A nice little surprise ambush onto the entry frag of the Ash, but Alexis K has made her way into logistics, and Harambe's going to be able to take out Rune, who made his way into the breach, but will be ended shortly. Now Alexis K does have an access into sight, and she doesn't seem to be known of her position. Actually, yes, she does. She has a Maestro with the gun and the trigger ready to spray down that Choppa. 81 bullets of pain going down range always causes a lot of damage. Arctic is going to fall at the hands of Harambe, picking up his second kill of the game, or of the round, with that lovely, lovely UMP on Castle. But Maestro will fall. That is Han Solo biting the bullet. He didn't shoot first this time.
No, it is down to Ulven and Alexis K. They are doing absolute work here, but is this too much of a hill for them to climb? They have done a fair amount so far, as Vladimir Gluten also taking some serious damage, almost trading back the damage between him and Alexis K. We're sitting almost pretty much even right now, as Ulven has now got the diffuser down. He retreats out through back the breach hole. However, he's got a really interesting way of having to hold this, as we have ourselves the Russian Spetsnaz operator, the Gluten Man himself, walking in through that backside of the bedroom area, and he's now going to try and defuse, as neither of them are really going to do anything about it, as he turns around and tries coming in through the backside, as Clint Yeastwood drops Ulven, and that's it.
Defenders win.
That's the win right there, as OTG disables the diffuser that goes down. I don't know what else he could have done at that point in time, especially when you've been pulled apart like that. That was almost a war of attrition at that point. Both teams played as well as you possibly could. OTG getting the upper hand, though, in that last couple of rounds.
Really great map. This was their map choice, so you kind of expect it. Brett Sheeran dropping 13 kills, as well as I would have loved to see a counter of how many thermite charges he got. I think he had at least 5 or 6. Heck of a bandit coming out there. But with that, that's map 1 in the books. Next one will be Villa, being Colorado Buffalo's map choice. So after a quick 5 to 10 minute intermission, we will be right back and ready to go. So make sure to stay tuned.
of hand. Soloff trying to stop the utility from coming through onto site. We do have, however, the Kaylee using that extra zoom on that sniper rifle to try and give her an advantage, seeing a little bit of peaky sides or maybe a awkward shoulder sticking out and possibly taking it off, as we do see grenades being thrown at the defenders inside the vault. Heckle trying to make a move onto play, pushing into the vault, starting to do some damage, but Haram Bagel pushes him back and takes down Heckle. Oh my goodness, that's a huge play as Bread Sheeran now gets in on the party. Rune's been taken down. Haram Bagel takes down Olven. Arctic getting a kill, but it's not looking like it's doing too well, as Arctic is the last man and a 3v1, and Bread Sheeran finds the cold-blooded killer around the corner in the 90, and OTG picks up the first round win.
At first, it looked a little bit shaky as the entry from, I believe, Heckle. Yes, Heckle on the Ash was able to take out a roamer, took the man advantage into the hands of Colorado Buffalo. But all of a sudden, your 90 player, your Bandit, who has been a freak to say the least so far, picks up a flurry of kills, 3 to be exact. Really swung the round back in their favor. Sure, the breach got opened, but it was just sort of a mute point, as every other defender on the sides of the Bread Boys was just holding down the angles, waiting for the attackers to push in, and ultimately they were able to absorb the pressure like some sponges and shoot it right back and take the round.
Yeah, you know what? I think a key point to note is that first initial shot by Tally didn't hit its target on the toes. And I think if he got the second shot off and both of them hit, that would have taken at least one individual off the board. Whether or not it would have tipped the scales enough to have a true impact on the round, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think I'm 100% sold on it. But again, it comes down to these, I don't know, the 1v1s that they're putting themselves in, or even sometimes they're re-peaking the same angle after a teammate has died, and they're also being absolutely yeeted on. They're going to have to really try to change up the gameplay here and try to find something that really works to their advantage, because as it seems, OTG is now settling into the comfort zone on this map, and that is not good for CU Buffaloes.
Yeah, it's not looking too great, as Obtain the Grain just still has more confidence, and they're looking to keep on delivering that beautiful, beautiful momentum into their sides and directly translate it into more rounds on the scoreboard. Brett Sheeran is on the downstairs roam, possibly looking to get one of those cheeky nitro cells, but Heckle is going to be creeping up these back pantry stairs. He won't find any bread in there, but he'll find bread over towards laundry, if he decides to clear that area as well, which he probably will after the careful, close eyes of a drone. And yes, Brett Sheeran is going to be caught out, his position called, and he's going to start feeling in some pressure as the swing comes in, but he's going to be able to take out Heckle, but not before being refragged out by Alexis K. Sure, you trade an Ash, but now there's no more nitro cells down below. Also, no ability to replace those bandit batteries once you go ahead and grab them from down below with that IQ scanner.
On top of that, taking down Brad Sheeran, he has been hot all night, and by taking him off the board, I'm wondering now that the extra weight is going to be laying solely on the rest of the shoulders of his teammates. Although doing incredibly well themselves, Brad Sheeran has really been turning up the heat past 420 degrees on this oven, that's for sure. It was preheated to begin with, but it looks like these cupcakes are going to be coming out completely crispy, as it is now down to a 4v4, and the time is starting to tick down. Time on the attacking side is always going to be your favorite enemy, as Clint Yeastwood now finds Rune, taking him off the board because he just was not lucky enough. Punk. And now we're going back into the backside of that hallway over towards 90. And now we're having a couple extra angles here as there's a bit of a lull in the action. Clint Yeastwood was hurt, but he's not down and out. He was able to get that frag and do some serious damage, taking down one of the attackers, and it's now down to a 3v4. Olven, Alexis K, and Arctic have really got to pull up their socks and do some serious damage, as it looks like OTG is just going to hold the angles and let them come into the sights of their teammates and defending. Clint Yeastwood turns the corner and takes down Alexis K. No, never mind. Haram Bagel got the trade-off kill as he's killing Han Solov kills Olven, who opens the breach and just was not ready. My goodness, cue the meme from Kevin Hart saying, oh no, he wasn't ready, as now it's up to Arctic and that extra zoom on that sniper rifle to try and take down a 4-man bread tag team event here. We've got everything from the gluten 12 grain, the white tight bread, and it's going on an absolutely heyday as they're running out after him. He panics, and the fire doesn't get off as Haram Bagel throws the bagel down the throat of Arctic, and he just was not ready to chew.
I think that bullet went through Haram Bagel's legs. I think he just threaded the needle in the worst way as Callie. Sure, you were in a 1v4 situation, but padding your stats just a little bit is always nice as Arctic is going off in chat. Obviously not happy, so that's very unfortunate coming out of the Callie, but the Indian marksman will be brought once again. So, and we're also seeing some wonderful stats coming out of Clint Yeastwood as he is a big fan of big firearms, hailing from the Western scene. The old actor throwback, looking like the new dog learning those tricks. And the next trick will be going downstairs with a lead of 2-0 as Obtain the Grain looks to put some more in their bag towards kitchen.
Yeah, as we just saw, so far, they have played calm, cool, and collectively. It's literally like Obtain the Grain is playing big brain. The IQ level so far has been off the charts. They've played smart angles. They've held in on their sight. They have not gone running around trying to find the frag unless they know they've got the win. It's really, I don't even know what to put it as. So far, that first round, Arctic missed the first shot dead on some toes on the backside of Aviation, looking through the breach hole. That didn't end up working out. The guy was hiding behind the billiards. He got the second shot off, but it just wasn't enough. Again, that last round we just saw him, he just couldn't get a shot off. He ended up getting rushed by the Legion, who ends up absolutely destroying him as Haram Bagel jumps through the window. Looked like he got him in the legs or even just missed him at the worst case possible scenario there. And he's been put down twice as Callie in very disadvantageous spots. I'll have to see whether or not he decides to turn this around at all, as Arctic is clearly starting to get frustrated, but continues to use the same character. Going into the start here, we're down to 2 minutes and about 20 seconds to about point this time, and really hasn't been too much movement, as we do see Arctic trying to find some sneaky feedies downstairs in that hallway, going up to the observatory. Ulvin also trying to get himself ready to go for that breach, followed slowly behind by Ruin, who's also there to help him out and try to take out some of those bandit chargers. Those two have been working closely together. However, it seems like so far they have been stonewalled more often than not by the plays of the Brent Sheeran and co. As Heckle is now getting the first frag of the game, emptying the bread pan, if you will, at the top of the stairwell as Vladimir Gluten gets told, no, sir, this is a gluten-free environment. Exit stage right.
With Heckle also putting the vertical pressure on display here, trying to find the location of the player down in Memorial, unfortunately will unpeak at a inopportune time. The rest of the attack really wants this pressure to break open the breach inside of Laundry Room. They have the Callie, they have the hard breach in Ulvin, and they're going to be trying to bait out either the Nitro Cell or potentially even the Impact Trick if that's what OTG wants. But Brett Sheeran's going to open up the fragging, taking out I almost said Heckle, and reclaiming top stairs in their own regard here. Having vertical pressure is very good, as Brett Sheeran's going to be able to pick up a second kill onto Alexis K. His double on the round as he's continuing pumping and churning out hits. And a scoreline of 6-1 right now. A little bit of a lull in the action, but after the smoke has settled, it is a 4v3 with man count advantage definitively in the hands of the Obtain the Grain Bread Boys. And a beautiful flick coming out of out of Arctic onto Han Solo. Rips the head right off the Valkyrie, but the Nitro Cell was already wasted away, so not a huge loss of utility. Plus, that's another kill as Arctic picks up a second one, but Haram Bagel is going to be able to swing right back, popping off the head of the Callie and evening the man count at 2-2. But Rune's position is not known. He has a nice flank in. Never mind, it is. Haram picks up his second kill. It's all up to Ulvin in a 1v2 clutch or die situation for the perfect site rotation coming out of Obtain the Grain, and he doesn't seem to know what to do. He's being peeked from multiple angles. He's jiggling, he's bobbing, he's weaving, but he can't escape the bullets as Clint Eastwood finishes it out and Obtain the Grain take the round.
I was gonna say, you know what? Brad Sheeran has been pop locking glocking it as he's pulled out that Ronin. It's serious work. But again, Arctic making me close my mouth for at least 2 minutes and coming back with a vengeance, getting those nice 2 flicks off the back. He came back to show us what he actually can do with that operator. Although he was eventually traded out, he did do some serious damage. Again, it didn't win them the round, but at least he's probably got himself that confidence back. He's definitely dropped 2 of them with some serious precision. Now it's all up to CU to really try and battle this back, as they are now down 3-0. We do see a little bit of actually no change really in the defending or attacking operators. We're just have to see how this ends up playing out, as both teams are coming with everything that they've got. So far, OTG has played it calm, cool, and collected. They've played with lethal precision and a cold, almost calculating mindset, making sure that they're not over peaking. They're making sure they're playing in a defensive way to keep their lead the best possible way they can. But again, at the same time, when they're put in the most advantageous position, and it's a 2v1, 3v1, time's running down, there's 3 seconds left on the clock, they are not adverse from going out there and having a little fun. Like you said, padding your stats is never a bad thing when you know you're a shoo-in to get the extra points. And again, we're watching Brad Sheeran walking around as Mozzie, using that Ronin. For those who don't know, it's basically an automatic lock in a plastic cover that looks like an SMG. That's where the whole the joke about pop lock and glock comes from. And now you have learned something. Back to the game.
Yeah, I still, every time I see somebody use the Roni, it makes me mad at Ubisoft, because as you know, the Twitch Prime skin for Mozzie was the beautiful Mozzarella, the big pizza boy, the mascot looking guy for an unknown pizza chain. But they put the pepperoni skin on the Commando. Why didn't they make it the Pepe Roni? It was so free. And it would have cost them $0.00, literally free. Not a nickel, not a dime, not a penny, not a quarter, nothing to make that pun, and they dropped the ball, and it makes me angry.
It's okay. That's why we're here to do the casting for the game. As Brad Sheeran, holy smokes, as he brings back Miss Elliott's best one and decides to do the 2-step to the left and absolutely brains Alexis K. That's huge. She has been more or less stopped almost every round she's come up, and has only been not due to any mistakes, just random gunfire taking the top of her head off. She's got to be a little bit frustrated about that. But heckle, here he comes, walking up with that Ash main, coming into the main stairwell area to try and clear it out, as OTG again commanding that defense to the best of their ability, getting a kill and then falling back, using their angles to their advantage here, as we do start to see Rune coming up to that back, trying to take out some extra cams, and there might be a bit of a rotate as Heckle is starting to try to bait out some plays here. They do think they hear somebody on that main stairwell, but it looks like Olven and Heckle are kind of blocked in, but there's no one actually over there, as both of them seem to be more or less fixated on it. I don't know what they saw or heard, but there's no one there, as Clint Yeastwood using that maniacal mind power to look through those black eyes through the bottom of the chair to see whether or not the teammates are starting to push in on the CU side. This is starting to get a little bit crazy as no one's really moving in. Arctic also playing that Cali back onto that veranda on the outside of the pull-up over towards Aviation, as we do see Clint Eastwood start to get droned out. He's in the back end of 90 on that 90-degree area, but he's kind of comfortable as he does have a teammate watching him from the main stairwell on that left-hand side for 90. And it looks like he gets domed, but he only gets dropped down as it looks like Arctic comes in. He's frustrated, and he makes sure he does not get back up, as Bread Sheeran, the gingerbread man that cannot any longer, as Clint Eastwood decides to trade off of Heckle. We've got ourselves Rune, Arctic, and Nevermind, as Arctic picks up Clint Eastwood, stopping that man's career before he continues it to the grave, as Harambe going on a little bit of a tear. Vladimir Glutenstock decides to come in to try and stop it, and he does, as Olven is unsuccessful trying to get into the site again for another time. He's pushed right into the gunfire with nothing left to do but die. Nice try on that, but wow, that is absolutely getting crazy.
He tried to impact him before to try to maybe slow down the push, but Olven had made up his mind that he's like, I want sight. I want to put down my diffuser. I am Thermite. I breach, I plant, I die. But unfortunately for them, he didn't get to type in that 7-second long code on that laptop because his life was cut short due to some nice shots coming out of Legion of Han Solo. And with that, that is 4 rounds in a row on Villa coming out for the grain. Boys attain the grain, bread puns, bread bank, bread bag, whatever you want to call them. They're winning the round so far. They're winning the game so far, and they have quite a lead in this half. At this point, for them, if they were to lose the next 2, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world besides momentum purposes, because once you get the 4-2 split, that's your expected result on a map such as Villa with how these bans have gone. Thatcher's makes things a lot easier. Sure, you have the Cali, but it's forcing you to play that sniper rifle. So could be a blessing, could be a curse. Arctic's been pretty hit or miss with it. Sort of needed to warm up. Sort of needed to realize, hey, I can't shoot somebody's ankle or else they don't go down. I need to aim for the torso, which is actually a much, much bigger target. So starting to pick up frags in that way, but it is just a little bit easier to get kills with the L85 as opposed to that. So, but
not wrong.
yeah, just a little bit easier to break in with the L85. That's a heck of a weapon, probably my favorite in the game. But Bread Sheeran on the roam once again inside of the pantry, right where the bread belongs, next to kitchen. Gonna maybe be going for a nitro cell down below if he doesn't get properly roam cleared, because there's no Habana. There's only a Maverick and a Thermite that want to break open that wall. And for them, you got to get right up on it, as now the drone work will find the initial position of Bread Sheeran. He's going to shoot it, and he's going to start running right into the dining room, but that's where Heckle is. That's when another little gunfight goes out. Heckle will win the engagement, but not before giving up about 95 of his health points.
Yeah, you know what? That was almost like deja vu. That's the second time they've both met on that exact same wall, and they've traded, I think, at least once. Heckle now getting up on the upper hand on that one now. I was thinking that Bread Sheeran was literally going to play like a game of poker, put down his cards and say, read them and weed it, if you will. But unfortunately, Heckle getting that use out of the 416, that rapid-fire weaponry, taking down Bread Sheeran as fast as he can. Still not without taking some scars, as he is down to nothing but a sliver left. Talk about sprinkling just a pinch of salt into the bread pan, as Heckle's got a little bit of health left. Rune now down and not out, though. He's going to try and put himself in a position where his teammates might be able to get a trade-off, as we do seem to have some conflict starting downstairs, as we do have impacts being thrown out, but it wasn't enough. Rune's still down, and Heckle finding Vladimir Gluten looking the wrong way. He was looking east, and he was thinking west, as Heckle just empties the brain pan on that one like an absolute precision mania. Obviously, he was 2 feet in front of him. Bread Sheeran and Vladimir Gluten down and out, as we do have CEU on a commanding side for their numbers, but they do have a lot less health, as 2 of their members are practically out, but we know as well as everyone else does, 1 HP in a dream is a thing, as Heckle with that 416 can still do some serious damage, and Rune also coming around as, but Haram Bagel decides to completely destroy what I'm saying and kills Heckle, taking down the man with no health left, but it doesn't matter, as Alexis K decides to get back into the game. Han Soloff going down hard, Arctic trying to get some kills, Clint Eastwood also coming into the mix, but Alexis K is going off. She gets another one, and Arctic comes in and finishes up Haram Bagel from the backside. Talk about having a hole in the middle of your bread plays. That's right from the backside.
Spades.
And yeah, what's up?
Rye, you got to do this to me.
I don't want none of that, okay?
Ooh, now you put it back to me, and I don't know what to say. But all I can say is that Trophy Statuary will be the final destination for this half here, as the Bread Boys look to extend their lead of 5-1, but Colorado Buffalo are knocking at the door. They've just put out a very impressive attack, looking very good in taking map control with relative ease. The room clear was nice coming out of Heckle, picking out of a couple of people, mainly Bread Sheeran and Vladimir Gluten, those 2 roaming dynamic duo, both falling at the hands of the Ash last time around. And let's see if he can replicate it once again to put his team into the expected 4-2, or if it goes to 5-1, it's not looking that great.
No, it's not. It's going to need Some serious miracle plays on almost everybody from CU to try and pull this one back out of the hole that has been dug. Again, those defenses, it has been very difficult for them to maintain any sense of momentum. Once they start seeming to feel a little bit more comfortable on the map, OTG switches it up and puts them back on the off foot. It's really been quite hard for them, as especially with Bread Sheeran going off again on this map, as he's been hot the entire series of this match so far. Again, also being helped and supported by almost all of his teammates so far. They've had a collection each of rather well-played angles and multi-kills, if you want to call it that, as they've all of them stepped up to the plate and have been banging absolute nut shots everywhere. It has been crazy to watch as players like Alexis K, who are known to be gunners, have met the unfortunate fate of dying to random gunfire, either through walls or just bad angles that they just weren't prepared for. And again, it's not anything to do with the difference in skill level. It's just timing and consideration. We just watched Arctic fall to the condensed gluten man himself. The Haram Bagel is flung, and he was there to catch it with his face, and he's now down and out. I know that's got to be frustrating for him. So far he's been, like you said, hit and miss with that sniper rifle. He has shown some flicks, but he's also shown some whiffs, unfortunately, and that is just not going to work in his favor, as Vladimir Gluten says, "I'm time to trade you back, Heckle." And he gets him through the walls. He tries running away, as Alexis K also being Bread Sheeran from behind. Oh, this is not looking good for CU, as now it's down to the Rune and Wrath on the backside of Maverick. Rune, you're the last one alive, and it's almost a clinic at this point, as Han Soloff fires first through the hole in the wall, killing the Maverick. Ouch. God, especially when you get killed by your own hole in the wall that you made with your torch. That's gotta hurt.
I think that was the most systematic elimination of operators that we've seen. Pretty much once we saw Haram Bagel become a freak and peek a Cali on a pixel angle on 12 times zoom and just bolo tap him into next year, that was just, I'm sure the comms were flooded of, "I just fried Cali, oh my gosh," deep fried bagel jokes wherever you want. Then Vladimir Gluten and Bread were just like whack-a-mole downstairs. As soon as one peeked up, the next one swung and took kills. They were just an absolute perfect rotation within the 5-second refrag distance of themselves, but you don't need to refrag if you win every gunfight, as well as the last players on site put their hat in the bag, picked up the last few kills, and put on a great round to take the lead of 5-1 on their defensive half.
Yeah, like you said, Callie peeking up through that skylight asked Haram Bagel how he likes his bagel, and he said double toasted and just whipped it at her face, and that was the end of that run. And then with I called it earlier, Alexis K, just bad timing coming around the corner with Heckle downstairs, both of them getting eliminated by Bread Sheeran and Han Soloff, Clint Eastwood and the rest of them. They're just it's almost like they're trading their angles. I know Heckle came in. He was able to kill Bread Sheeran and Vladimir Gluten. They were both looking the wrong way. Well, at least in Bread Sheeran's defense. He was looking the right way, just the gun did not match up to the firepower of the 416 on Ash's operator character. But my goodness, just that was... It's not that they gave up. They kept trying. It just... The RNGs just decided that none of their roles were going to work in their favor. My goodness gracious, they were hitting nat ones all day on that one. As Ulvin is now sitting on the top end of aviation, trying to possibly get maybe a cheeky kill here. So we do have Bread Sheeran, Haram Bagel, and the infamous Han Soloff trying to get themselves in a good position to try and take that overhang. We do have Alexis K playing that dock on that rear stairwell there, getting ready to possibly do some damage as they're going to try and really claw this one back and keep them from taking the win from them. This is now down to a 5-1 round 7. CU is in a hole and they don't have shovels to dig themselves out this time.
Yeah, they're backed up between a rock and a hard place, but like I said, when you're down like this, pressure makes diamonds. Heat and pressure makes diamonds. You take that block of coal and you make it into your own shiny mess. And we'll see if Colorado Buffalo is going to be able to rise above that as the first down comes out. Vladimir Gluten gets into the down but not a safe, but Heckle also will join him on that endeavor as the refrag comes out clean, as well as a second one onto Olvin, trying to be the field medic as he can't get it, but Clint Eastwood smells blood in the water. He goes for the third, but isn't quite able to connect onto Rune so far. Vlad still could be picked up as he's just slowly withering away over to the top of the trophy area. And yes, Han Solo will finally get that sledge with no brim on his hat back up in the action.
And you know what? No one ever seems to expect the Spanish Inquisition as Clint Eastwood comes in and just absolutely rips Heckle and Yolvin a new one from the backside. But Arctic coming in with a vengeance, taking down Han Soloff and Clint Eastwood. My goodness gracious. These are childhood characters of mine from movies I know very well, and I love them. They're dear to my heart. But he ends the streak on both of them. That's a lot of star power off the grid. But we do have another one as Rune comes in with Wrath and Rune being dropped. But Bread Sheeran, as hot as he has been so far, dropping Rune. And it's now down to Alexis K and Arctic to do some serious damage. Vladimir Gluten getting that diffuser down, stopping the West that is best coming through. Bread Sheeran still on fire, pours gasoline on himself, and then goes absolutely haymaker on Alexis K. As now Vladimir Gluten still trying to get that diffuser down, stop to try and help his teammate, as Arctic has got to make a play here. Bread Sheeran watching the one way he's going to try and go in, using an impact to possibly do some noise cancellation, but we do have Vladimir Gluten, who's down to really low health. He's just hit a lesion mine, and now had to pull it out, as now Bread Sheeran realizes that he's rotated back around. He's looking back towards the bars, the bar doorway, which he did get across. This is going to be interesting how he decides to play this, as Bread Sheeran could possibly be flanked from the backside. Arctic's really got to be careful here. He doesn't have a whole lot of time, and there goes a grenade, as he doesn't have to worry about that one. But Vladimir Gluten still has that SMG-11, but oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As the kerosene bread bean himself comes, oh my goodness, I'm too hot for this, and unloads again on another unsuspecting victim. And that's the end of that round. It is now 6 to 1. I've kind of lost track at this point.
6-1. They've crossed match point. They've crossed series point here, as any round, any attacking win for Obtain the Grain will propel them all the way to the finals of the CEA COVID-19 Summer Relief Tournament. Definitely a spot you want to be in, especially when you put in so many hours. You've worked so hard, you've played so many games, and it's all culminating up to this point. Will Colorado Buffalo be able to make the miraculous comeback on this map, or will they fall flat? Only time will tell.
You know, it's it was looking like they were able to put up a mounted defense on that last map. It has not been going in their favor so far. They do seem to have a few blips of life come into them, but it's just, again, the last few rolls have not gone in their favor. They're able to even it up either to a 2v2 or a 3v3. Then after that, it seems to just absolutely fall apart. Any matchup so far, about midway to near the end of the round, CU has I don't want to be like they've fallen apart, but I have a lack of a better word to use or a better way to describe it. And it's really just, it's not even their fault. It's just OTG just seems to have complete command of the operating area when they're in here, either up top or around the bomb sites. And they almost hem CU into a corner and make them come through some serious bottlenecks, whether they're attacking or defending. It doesn't seem to matter. OTG just gets a commanding just presence almost everywhere, as we do see Heckle playing downstairs as the Vigil, trying to stop them maybe from coming through the back, as Han Soloff took some serious damage from somewhere, but it doesn't matter. Haram Bagel flings another double toasted and hits Olvin through the that's going to hurt them. Olvin also got killed from a spawn peak last match, which put his team in a pretty bad situation. I'm guessing they're just trying at anything at this point, trying to do whatever they can. There's really no plan of a defense or attack, if you will, as CU is now just starting to really show some cracks and holes that OTG is starting to try and really trying to obtain and more or less exploit. But CU can still kind of push this back, although the mountain is big. There is always a hope when there's 1 HP in a dream.
Yeah, their backs are against the wall, and right here we're seeing a little bit of a standoff between Han Solo and the Vigil, as now the Vigil's location will be seen at the hands of the IQ scanner, most likely projected to his entire team via the wonderful world of Discord. And Arctic is also downstairs and dining, holding a nice headshot angle for any of these attackers that want to walk on in. The roam presence is strong with this one, but will Han Solo be able to break it apart? And nope, the IQ of Vladimir Gluten will fall at the hands of Arctic. And yeah, I guess Han Solo did refrag back, but another flurry of kill comes in as Rune and Alexis K both pick up one apiece, one with a headshot, one with a nitro cell. It's all up to Han Solo and Haram Bagel to try to get on into sight and break down the remaining Colorado Buffalo players who are sitting back there. But there is still the flank as well as Alexis K on this nice angle, and we've seen what she can do, but it doesn't matter as Haram Bagel picks up his second kill. That ARX does damage. Definitely a lot of damage out of that one. Can't quite heal a headshot even if you're Doc. Han Solo not on a whole lot of HP, as the ARX is going to rip down about half the HP of Heckle. I keep on wanting to say Heckful. I don't know why, but I want to say Heckful. But it's a 2v2. It's an even count, and this is match point. So maybe Colorado Buffaloes are starting to feel it in their backside just a little bit. But 30 seconds left, rolling action, drone work coming out of the Grain Boys as they want to know the locations of the final two defenders that stand in their path of victory on this bomb site. Some vigil markers are going to obscure the vision of the drone, making his presence known over towards somewhere on the trophy, somewhere on the statue here. One drone will be taken out by Rune as they're looking to just play passive. He's still got a nitro cell in his pocket, but the Heckful doesn't care. He swings out, and Rune's going to get the refrag after Haran Bagel picks up his third. Colorado Buffaloes take their second round.
I was gonna say, you know what? I wonder if Heckle called out that he had the diffuser as he took down the Habana. I saw it drop out of her pocket there, and I was gonna say, oh God, please don't tell me you're gonna peek at the same time and both get brained. But Ruin, I'm guessing seeing or just working off of what was being called out by Heckle, really holding down himself on that backside, using that hard cover to keep his brain as safe as possible, then flicking out the last second, getting up the refrag, and winning out the round. It is 6-2, and it is one hell of a mountain to climb, but they have shown that they can get points. They have to play this in a very strategic way to get those points back on their side. But again, this is, again, one crazy mountain to climb, or maybe wheat field to frolic through, as OTG is really turning up the heat. They have been in several occasions taking fights that most people would think, oh, okay, they're going to lose this one, and somehow out of just sheer willpower and just the feeling of confidence boosting them through the last map and this map as well has really been a hindrance to CU Buffalo so far. It's been interesting to say the least. I hope they continue to make this as competitive as possible, maybe push it to a 6-6. But again, OTG has just been running a clinic in some rounds, and I don't know if I see it happening.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, they have to be absolutely perfect. They have to be absolutely flawless on the rest of these 4 maps, or 4 sites, and they need to win here on the tertiary bomb site of Kitchen. It's not a great site. You can, once you get all that vertical pressure upstairs, that people such as the IQ with breaching charges, the shotgun of Clint Eastwood, Red Sheeran, could be taking out all of those gadgets with the beautiful IQ scanner, maybe even the Ash placing her breaching charges to open up those angles. It gets a little bit hard to stay safe down there. There's all these angles that can be opened up, and you have to worry about that. But we also see a couple of players, mainly Heckle upstairs, as well as Rune possibly rotating up to try to hold on to that vertical pressure. But nope, he's just going to be rotating inside of Memorial and trying to stay close to sight. He does have a nitro cell in his pocket to combat that aforementioned vertical control that OTG is probably going to want to go towards. But who knows how the cookie will crumble in this round.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they bake it. If they use too much heat, it's brittle as all hell. And if it's not heated up enough, it becomes basically a mushy pasta thing. And then everyone just calls it cookie dough and eats it anyways. So we're still seeing a little bit more of a maybe timid play, I guess you could call it, from CU. They have to really be careful. This last time they allowed OTG to dictate their confidence level in that last map there. They really got hurt when they decided to turtle up on defense. CU's really got to try and play to their strengths and try to believe that whatever way they decide to defend this, they need to stick with it and not try to adapt too much. Don't break anything that's broken. If you're starting to lose fights and angles, try not to blame each other. Really got to work together and use that mental fortitude to bring it back together, as we do see some of the roamers starting to move around and seem a little bit antsy. The only one that seems a little bit more calm and cool seems to be Rune on that back hallway, but you do have Haram Bagel and Hans Solov getting themselves ready to go into the site, to the mudroom, into the main hallway. We do have other ones coming in through the what looks to be the service entrance over towards the kitchen side. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they decide to break that top hatch, as it looks like the attacking team is now getting into that armored wall area, but we do have Vladimir Gluten moving in through the back, trying to see whether or not people are going to rotate through the basement and catch them off guard. He's coming up those stairwells to the pantry stairwell, and now he's got a little bit extra stuff as Bread Sheeran still remaining just as hot, taking down Rune. Alexis K also getting a frag. Vladimir Gluten finding Alexis K in the background, using that pantry stairwell to really do some damage. He gets a flash out, and that's really going to hurt the eyes of Olvin, who's now sitting behind that counter. It's 10 seconds left. He's got to come through, but he runs right into the 12 gauge, and that goes down. Clint Eastwood gets a kill on Olvin, and it's now down to a 1v2. Will Arctic be able to do anything here? He coming in a little bit late at the back end of this round here, as the defense is now going to do a bit of a retake here. One down, though, as Haram Bagel's the last man alive. Clint Eastwood is still ready to be picked up, but it looks like he's going to put him in the down and out. No, never mind. He's picked back up. As now it's back up to a 2v1. We've got ourselves Arctic, who's now being shot from the backside, and that seems to be it, as they're using some cheeky angles, as Arctic really doesn't seem like there's much left. He's got Echo already saying GG, LOL, sick, we win. And this has been an interesting one to cast, as there we go. Clint Eastwood finds Arctic, drops him down, and that's the win. OTG takes both maps on this series.
Really great display coming out of the Bread Boys, and yes, that was friendly fire, as the Nomad was a little bit spooked by the teammate coming up behind her as she was typing the diffuser. Beautiful flick straight up to the body, downing the teammate, making it a little bit more difficult. But that doesn't matter when you look at the scoreline here. Haram Bagel and Bread Sheeran both putting up double digits once again, as Bread Sheeran was the star of this show so far. Put up a great fight on Clubhouse, beautiful bandit tricking, beautiful roaming, and that continued into the next map of Villa. And at the end of the day, 2 maps played, 2 maps in the side of Obtain the Grain, right into their bread bag, and they will be going to the finals next week.
Yeah, talk about baking at an absolute menacing level. We had Bread Sheeran lighting a fire on himself and then dousing himself with gasoline. He just stayed hot the entire night. He was completely shutting down the breach crew on Clubhouse, almost single-handedly. They had no answers for his bandit tricking. And then on this second map, I mean, don't get me wrong, the first map, he fragged. This second map, he was running almost a clinic on CU at this point, as he was just continuously out-fragging and just outmaneuvering some of the steady gunners on CU's team. They just couldn't seem to catch a break, and he was not willing to give them the breadsticks to do it, as both him and Vladimir Gluten seemed to be the mainstay roamers. Haram Bagel, Clint Eastwood, and Hans Solov also really helping down, either anchoring or being more of a fluid player, coming off of site but not too exactly far. And it was just, it was a very interesting game to watch. We definitely saw Clubhouse become the opposite of what we all know. Usually it's quite defended sided, and you're trying to get the extra maybe 1, maybe 2 wins on attack. And it ended up being, for both teams, the mainstay of their point getting abilities.
And with that, we are going to have an interview, so we're going to go to a short, quick intermission as we get to pick the brain of Clint, or nope, it's Bread Sheeran and Vladimir Gluten. So we'll be able to pick their brains, see what was happening behind the scenes on the comm side, maybe get a little bit of extra understanding here. So actually, we're just going to drag him straight on in. Hello, welcome to the interview room. This is Taco and Keys, also known as Vladimir Gluten and Bread Sheeran, respectively. First off, I'd like to say a big old congratulations for making the finals. How does that make you guys feel?
Oh, I mean, I'm on top of the world. Yeah, Keaton, go ahead.
I would,
Go ahead.
if I had to describe, it's hard to describe. It really is. I mean, it's hard to really put into words. I think the best way I could put it is it feels pretty PogChamp. I think that's the best way I can,
Well put. Well put.
enunciate.
Well, as we learned in the regular season, Taco, you are the tax man and you do come to collect. But how does it feel this time baking bread till everyone's dead? You guys were on absolute fire. You turned Clubhouse upside down, making it an attacker-sided map, and then running almost a clinic on CU's team on that second map. Give me the insight. What were you guys feeling when that thermal barrier charge took out the bandit right off the bat? First kill of the map on Clubhouse.
Spades. I think really that just comes down to preparation. A little bit of VOD work. Our Thermite knew that he probably could get a frag off that one. So that really just comes down, putting the work in, off the field. And talking about, how I performed both maps, Keys, he took me aside before map 1, and he said that he was feeling it today. And I was like, you know what? Go crazy. Go ham bone. I'm looking forward to it. And man, he did not let me down. So, he really made everyone else's job easy, just going crazy.
Yeah, definitely were able to see the fruits of your labor. Just propel yourselves into a really great position. Was there anything in particular during the halftime of the first map? You guys got a 4-2 split on Clubhouse attack. So was that one of those things that you guys saw the scoreline, you're like, we got it? Or was it something that you were still worrying about? Maybe the bans made Clubhouse attacker-sided, really worried? Or were you guys feeling comfortable?
The bans were really unique. One thing I will say is once we got that 4-2 split on attack and then we ended up losing 2 basement defenses, it was really important. Andrew Ryan, say what you will about him. God bless him, guys. He's a leader. Say what you will. And he just said, hey, guys, pull together. We got this. This is what we do. We don't have to worry about it. They're putting a little bit of pressure on us, but we just got to play our game, slow it down, take it easy. And we were able to close it out. But, definitely a little bit more pressure on the defensive side than, we might have anticipated on Clubhouse.
Yeah, that seemed to be the story of the night for that map for both of you guys. You guys having a problem with the basement, CU having a problem with cash. It just seemed like defending side was just not the forte of either of you guys tonight. But again, your guys' attacks were clinical, almost precision on a level I don't think I've really seen that kind of work together. That was very well done. Especially on your defense, I found you guys were using a lot of impact nades to try and take out the extra hard breaching abilities of their operators on Clubhouse. That first time around, it seemed like you guys got pushed away by some extra holes on the top of the kitchen hatch. What was the thought process? Were you just thinking, I can waste all of their utilities here? Or was that just a whim and a prayer?
Well, I mean, that was me and Jack mainly. So me and Han Solo, because I only have 2, right? I only have 2 impacts, and Jack had both of his. So there was just a little bit of a miscommunication because I was hoping it was either just a Hibana, just a Thermite, one of those situations. And so the first time around, they put their Hibanas down. I get the first 2. I was hoping Jack could run around and get the third one, but there's a miscommunication, and we both threw us at the same time. So, but it did help because it limited the hatches they could open, because now they could only open either Moto or blue. They couldn't open like all 3. So, I mean, that was not, they didn't end up using that, and they just really made a really big arsenal push, which was frustrating just because we just did not have enough people on that site. So
Poetic.
Very well.
Poetic. Very well put. But this just in, breaking news. We have our first question in from chat right here. Cheek_Buster wants to know, how do I make a sandwich?
Keaton, you're the sandwich guy.
I mean, I usually pay someone to do that, a sandwich artist, because I feel like personally, I'm kind of under the impression that I could pay that a little bit extra and have a professional do it rather than do it myself. I mean, that's why I brought a pre-built, why build it myself when I can pay a professional to do it for me?
That's a really good point.
Great point.
Yeah. So other than that, give us a little bit of insight behind the names and obtaining the grain.
Obtaining the grain, a synonym for getting the bread, which is, real big in the hip hop community. I don't know if you can tell by, kind of the vibe we put off, but me and Keys really have our thumb on the pulse of the hip hop community.
Right.
And so, we kind of took that as inspiration, is like, going all the way, getting that bread, obtaining the grain, if you will. I feel like, we could have been team get that bread, but that's, it's so crass. It lacks panache. Am I wrong?
like
I think it lacks
rhymes and obtained the grain. It just
flows.
rolls off the tongue. It's
And
very
that being-
easy.
Yeah, and in terms of our names, we went with celebrities or pop culture figures that kind of represent our personality. Solo, known to fire from the hip now and again. Bit of a loose cannon, that guy. Keys, Bread Sheeran. You wouldn't know it. Voice of an angel.
You wouldn't believe it. I mean,
Golden.
I mean,
Pipes.
I mean, not right now. I can't. Not right now. Not right now. But,
Vladimir Gluten. Me. Keen, why don't you explain that one?
Vladimir Gluten. Well, so you wouldn't know this because you can't see the guy, but
Right.
man has got a rear end. And that's all I gotta say. So I think that gluten.
Yeah, it was
all
less
just
about the
kind of fit
person and
together.
more about incorporating the glutes into it.
Guy actually
and then
plays
Haram
on a
Bagel.
stool because he's got so much cushion underneath.
Yeah. And then Haram Bagel, of course. Andrew Ryan really torn up with the death of Harambe. Felt like it was a good way to kind of,
He said that it was that moment in 2016 where life really took a turn for him for the worse.
And then who could forget Clint Eastwood? A bit of a rough and tumble Western man, Spencer. Kind of the picture of masculinity. So I felt like it fit well.
Very true. Very true. And if C-Dabs, if you can take us out, I think that's all the time we've got for today's interview.
Well, I've got actually one more question. So as we know, the main man Han Solo, a little bit of a shaky jack.
You're right.
So I only noticed one shaky jack move in that entire game, and it was on Villa, where he threw an impact nade at somebody sprinting at him, because I assume was a fat finger.
That was, he even mentioned that because it was in the final kill cam.
He just said he wasn't doing anything, and he felt like, kind of, guy can't really stand silence, so I felt like he was trying to just fill the silence.
I mean, how pog would it have been if he had just direct impacted him to end the round?
NC Jack not one to shy away from the style play.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Really archetypal NC Jack right there.
Alrighty, and with that, we're going to conclude this interview. It was absolutely wonderful to have you guys in the booth with us, sharing your pizzazz in being able to pick your mind just a little bit. But with that, that's the conclusion of this series, as well as our first semifinals matchup between Obtain the Grain and Colorado Buffaloes. Obtain the Grain got that bread and are going to be punching their tickets to the finals next week, I believe. And also, if you're feeling a little bit tired, just like I am after the cast, you can make sure to get a little bit of a caffeine kick, a wonderful energy supplement coming out of our best friends over at Rogue Energy. Also make sure to well, now that's all done, but make sure to use code CEA at checkout to make sure you get 10% off your order, because we are all nice broke college students. Any money saved is good. But also with CEA coming on the rise as a nice prominent collegiate league, you can make sure to go over to whatsnew.gg and pick up some of our wonderful merch line that also will be given away at the end of this tournament to the victors. But make sure to tune in tomorrow as well, as the final semifinals match will be played between Monday Morning Chapel and the Université de Montréal, all the way up from our wonderful French Canadians. But I've been C-Dabs, joined by the One True Spades, and we'd like to wish you guys a really great night.